Julia, and today we have some very, very special guests. The purpose of Dental Voice is to hear from professionals to help us in understanding how to thrive in dentistry. Today, we have Alejandra Santos and Carlyn Wice from Startup Tandem. Now, the topic that we're going to talk about here is why is compliance and human resources something that people really don't pay a lot of attention to. So they're going to spend some time to share that with us. Thank you for joining us and really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And we're actually together. Can you believe that?
Thank
We'll
you.
share what happened earlier with them. But so human resources compliance, what's that all about? And help us understand, why do people not care or not care? They don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, one short answer could be that folks haven't gotten caught yet, to be completely honest.
Gotten caught. Okay, we got to unpack that. What do you mean you haven't gotten caught?
Well, thank you for having us, first of all. We appreciate it. Very grateful to be here today. So what we have found is that a lot of business owners need to be caught by the California
And
Employment Department and all kinds of agencies in order to understand that there is a need for compliance in companies.
So wait, I'm really curious now. They have to be caught. What do you mean caught? Explain what you mean caught.
Well, like Alejandra said, there are a lot of agencies out there that are state, local, and federal that are all, in a lot of ways, compliance is what they're after. So you might think of, auditors, the IRS, things like that. For HR, there are a multitude of different agencies that are making sure that really they're supporting employee rights. But on the flip side, as an employer in your small business, your dental practice, you need to be aware of this, that there are these agencies out there that are unfortunately coming to get you in terms of compliance.
Or your employees are coming to get you too, because
if they're aware.
If they're aware, and if you're not giving them the whole benefits as you deserve to be given as an employer, then they're gonna come after you.
See, it's interesting. I graduate from dental school. I'm going to open my own practice. Wow. It just seems like more extra stuff. Can't I just bring on people, hire them, and just be done with it? I've got a bunch of friends. I'm going to bring them on, and it's going to be awesome. No?
That would be cool, wouldn't it?
That would be great.
It seems like that, right?
Unfortunately, we don't live in that world, but absolutely. Ideally, that would be wonderful, and it's wonderful when your business is your family. But we do have to deal with these different agencies, and like I said, their origin might be that they're supporting the employee. But sometimes that does come back to the employer, and those repercussions with not being compliant might be things like jail time. It might be fines. And
losing your business.
Absolutely.
Lawsuits.
So it's interesting. So can't I just say, well, I didn't know. Sorry.
Oh, I wish it would work like that.
No. wait. But I honestly didn't know. But I started my business. I brought a bunch of people in, and what? I'm supposed to provide this benefit and provide that. Because I'm dealing with so many different things. So when I'm starting my business, it's overwhelming. Debt, starting up new patients. So
absolutely,
how do you get past that?
Well, unfortunately, saying you don't know isn't always going to cut it, because this information's, one, widely available, and two, you are legally obligated as an employer to adhere to these rules and regulations. So unfortunately, it's kind of like getting pulled over by the cop. They say you're speeding. Officer, I didn't know. I
didn't realize I was going 100.
Well, you
passed everybody on the road.
You do have an odometer in your vehicle, and if it's not working, that's a whole other issue. So yeah, that would be the analogy. Absolutely. But yeah, compliance, 100%. As a business owner, you need to adhere to those rules. And using that excuse that you don't know the answer just isn't going to cut it, because this stuff is widely available on the internet. It's all stuff that you can research, and these various agencies put out there for you to consume.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, the thing that I keep thinking about is that it just seems so overwhelming. Yeah, it's available out on the internet. And yeah, there's so much stuff on the internet that it's available. How does one start, or what advice would you give someone, who's one of our guests here watching, going, yeah, I have a dental practice, I didn't know that. What would be the first thing that they would do to start?
Yeah, and not only dental practices in general, but everybody. I would honestly say, talk to a professional. It doesn't have to be that you have to hire somebody in-house, but just talk to somebody that deals with compliance, with employment compliances regularly. Can they help you create some policies and procedures, or an employee handbook that will keep you out of trouble? That's the basic kind of form, how to keep your business intact. Basic.
So wait, all I have to do is go online, find an employee handbook, take it, and I'm good?
You have to customize it according to your company, right? Your values, what you want in that employee handbook, what the things that you allow, the things that you don't allow. It has to be, it's not just a general cookie cutter employee handbook. You really have to make sure that it actually meets what you're trying to do in your business.
So there are templates that are out there, but how do you figure that out? I'm sitting here starting my own business, and I have no idea. I just want to treat patients. I want to be a good clinician. I want to be a good, person.
In order to be a good clinician and give your patients a good treatment, you also need good staff. It all comes together, right? The end result, the end product will deliver to the customer, but we all come together as a team to provide that product.
Yeah.
So it starts from everyone. It starts from the core of your business, from who you are as a business owner to who you hire, how you nurture your employees, how you treat them, and how they're going to treat your customer at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you've probably heard before, your employees are your business, and your dental practice is a small business, believe it or not. So yeah, absolutely. And to go back to what you were saying about the template, you might find a template online, but you have to think about your industry. You have to think about federal laws. You have to think about state laws. You have to think about your local laws. And so there are a lot of different things to take into account. Yes, on the positive side, it's not rocket science. Anybody could probably research and find these things out. But on the flip side, and ideally, you're going to want to hire somebody that knows this like the back of their hand.
But as a business owner myself, I cannot spend 5 hours researching local laws and state laws and federal laws when I have so many other things to do. So I get it. I get it why you don't think it's needed.
But wait, ready? I'm just going to hire my family. And, I trust them. What's wrong with that?
Oh, it's going to get really
okay, what?
Really fun and messy pretty soon.
So, because in dentistry, a lot of times, it's my wife or my partner or my brother or my mom, dad, all that type of stuff. What are some of the things that people have to be mindful of, or actually be wary or realize when hiring family?
Carlyn has a good example too, because she has been in those kind of situations.
Okay, no names. So
I'd love to start with the positive, because trust is a huge thing, and you do want to have trust within and amongst the people in your organization. So that's something that you can't replace. And I would say hiring family is wonderful for that reason. On the flip side, you're gonna, over time, you're going to be more and more likely to get audited. So the longer that you're going, operating without compliance, the more likely it is, again, that you're going to get caught.
So, but your family, do I really need to work out all these details? Hey, I trust them. I'm just going to let them do what they need.
Yes. Those relationships can get really sticky.
Tell
a little bit about the case that you told me the other day about hiring employees that had a relationship with one another.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, nepotism is a term for a reason, right? Okay, so we have this idea of familiarity that's really wonderful when it comes to things like trust. Absolutely. And again, that's irreplaceable. Trust is wonderful. However, when you're looking at situations where people have extraneous relationships or other relationships, that can get a little sticky in that, you're going to have preference for that person. You're not looking through an objective set of eyeballs, and that's going to cloud things. You're not looking through those compliance eyeballs. And unfortunately, again, we have to adhere to those rules and regulations.
It becomes personal. So you kind of let them get away with little things. And
under the table here.
And
Yeah,
then
and then that auditor is going to come in. They have the compliance eyeballs. They don't know Joe
No,
like
yeah.
wait
you
a
do.
minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. How
They
come?
don't love Joe
Well,
like
and
you do.
And it sounds like it looks like there isn't parity because my brother, oh, it's okay if he's late. Hey, why are you late? And all of a sudden there's this
Mhm.
lack of parity between how I'm treating people.
Absolutely.
So that's an interesting point.
Yeah, and not everyone's your brother. So, Bill over there, he was a new hire a couple weeks ago. Bill's not your brother, and he's going to look at that. Fairness is so important when it comes to morale for your
Employee
team.
retention. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So currently in dentistry, one of the biggest issues is finding good fit teams to be members of your organization. How does compliance and the whole context around HR help that? Because right now, one of the most common pieces of feedback we're getting is staffing is a big issue. How does that play into that?
I'm going to talk about that one in a term of like when you start a business, right? You want to make sure that you know who you are as a business owner and who you want to bring into your business, what kind of traits, values, like we saw right now, are coming into that business that can be shareable with everybody. So I think that's a good place to start first, right? To establish the policies, the procedures, exactly what culture you want to bring. And that's really huge when it comes to employee retention, on top of everything, the benefits, the pay, flexibility, right? You want an employer that is flexible with you. I know a lot of people, medical practitioners that have a high employee turnover, and it's because they don't really do a lot of flexibility. They pay them really low. They don't really look at the type of skill set they bring into the table. So they're just, trying to spend less money in someone in order to get the job done. But maybe you want to go a little higher to obtain more loyalty or create a loyalty within the company.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that, it makes sense. People don't really necessarily think about because I'm under pressure to bring people in. And it's difficult. It's just difficult to find those kind of people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's expensive. It takes a lot of time to hire the right people. And again, like Alejandra said, it goes back to values. You need to know your values when you're hiring, and you need to make sure that you hire people that truly believe in those values and they truly fit into your organization.
I love that.
The other big one, let me add something in there. Like the hiring part of it is really important. The screening part of it, like how many interviews are you doing? Are you doing one?
Just me.
Are you? Yeah, that's it. You honestly, we interview people internally. We should do more interviews, but we do at least 3 interviews, and some people do 12. And it's because everybody has a different personality in each interview. You don't know what day they had, or what kind of reaction they're going to have when they look at you because they had a bad news just now. So you have to put all that in together. And then the screening part, like, are you doing background check? Are you calling people references? Like, this is huge to know who you're bringing.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. For our viewers, if you were to highlight 3 or several key flags that they need to pay attention to right now, that may point to the fact that they're not in compliance. If you were to highlight the top 3 or even more, what would those be for people out there? In other words, hey, business owner, if you see X, Y, and Z, what would those be? Based on the experiences you've had with some of your clients or people that you've helped, what would those be?
Okay, I think we could work together on this one, but one, I'm going to say your retention rate being very low,
turnover, right?
Your turnover being very high. That is an absolute red sign internally that there's something deeply wrong, and it's not the end of the world. You can start new and do things the right way, but I would say absolutely, retention.
Especially when it's like, what do you mean? It's not me. They're no good, right?
Well, what's the common denominator there?
So I love it. Number 1, your retention and your turnover rate. If your retention is very low and your turnover is high, what would number 2 be? That's fantastic.
Definitely management and leadership is another big one that we see. Yeah, I mean, it all come together anyways, hand in hand. Like if you have poor leadership in the house, and you're probably going to have high turnover, right? You're going to have less retention. So leadership is a big one that we see that a lot of people, it's really easy to make a business in America compared to other countries. But, being a leader doesn't mean that you're the same as being a business owner. So leadership is huge when it comes to retaining.
So, and when you say leadership, it's recognizing that simply because it's your business doesn't mean you're the leader. Is that what
Exactly
I'm saying?
correct? Yes.
So, and
Just
get help or
just get some coaching. There's so many business coaches out there that can give you the landfill about what a leader is. Working with people is not the same as working with robots, or it takes a lot of actually people management is the hardest part of anybody's job. People management.
Right.
Absolutely.
So retention, turnover, understanding of leadership, and recognizing simply because it's your practice doesn't mean you're a good leader. You got to get help. You got to get education, training. What would be the third thing?
I'm going to say employee confusion. So
what's that?
A couple things play into that. Kind of a miscommunication regarding expectations. So expectations set by management and understood and or not understood by by your employees. So that would be part of it as expectations, and two, just like a misalignment with the values. Again, back to the values thing. So just a confusion overall. So what you'll see is a lot of employees, they show up to work, they know when they're supposed to be there, but they might not know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And particularly how to do it. So. And that's another whole thing that we see is asking questions, or creating a situation and an environment where they're comfortable asking questions.
The culture, building the culture.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned, they know when they're supposed to be there and how long, when they're there. So that speaks to onboarding, training,
taking the time to write those handbooks, the process docs. You do this, you kind of clock in, you serve the cup, whatever it is. It's do a process flow.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I love the context around that. This whole idea of, if you see those flags, retention and turnover, low retention, high turnover, bad. Leadership, is the person in charge really operating as a good leader, or are they just in charge because they have the title? And then this whole context. The third context, I've already forgot what the third context is. Oh, it's
confusion.
Yeah, the clarity with if you feel that your team is confused and they don't know what on earth is going on, or you discover it's like, what are you doing? I'm not sure. Those are flags. How do people get help? Where can they help? And this may lead to, so Startup Tandem, who are you guys? What are you? And if you could kind of share with us what that's all about and how that came to be.
Yeah, so Startup Tandem, here we are. So Startup Tandem basically helps business owners, startups and small business owners, create an infrastructure of finance and business where they can keep business owners away from trouble. That's basically what we do. And we do a lot of different functions. We do the tax, the accounting, the HR. We do the fractional CFO. But our main thing is helping small business owners scale depending on the industry, and then helping them stay compliant as they grow.
So you give that, you're the expertise that may be missing.
Yeah.
And then do they work with you forever? What's that all about?
Well, we hope you work with us forever, but no, we give you the tools for you to to hire somebody in-house when the moment comes, when the budget allows it, to bring that knowledge that we shared with you into your new internal team, and then we can also train them. Yeah.
So, folks, we have a community called Empowered Dentistry, and one thing that I'd like to highlight, and I'd like you all to speak to it, Startup Tandem with Alejandra and Carlyn created a little playbook in there that outlines not just the steps involved, but virtually every resource that you need to get to in one place. How did you guys put that together? How did that kind of come?
Oh, that was a fun thing for us.
It was really fun. We had a lot of great direction from you guys, but it's certainly, we used our years of expertise and, learning the hard way, internally and through vicariously through our clients, in order to give you the best little pieces of information. Not just those little nuggets of information, but really covering the basics of what's out there compliance-wise. We made sure that we put in the links to state and federal and local different agencies that all require you to be compliant in terms of HR.
Yeah, and it's just a starting point, right?
Absolutely.
It's not the end all be all. It's not one and done, right?
We do weekly blogs actually on our website where we talk about all of these scenarios. scenarios
Mhm.
that are
So-
hot topics in Google.
So this is good. So if people wanted to reach out to you or ask you questions, what would be the best way to do that?
You can find us anywhere, but the easiest thing is just go to info@startuptandem.com, Alejandra, startuptandem.com, Carlyn. It's so simple. And
Mhm.
you'll find us there. LinkedIn, we're
Yeah.
high on demand on
Info at
LinkedIn.
startuptandem.com.
Yeah.
So for our viewers, if you were to sum up everything we've spoken to in the last 20 plus minutes or so here, how would you kind of bring it all together for them? And then what advice would you like to leave with them as we kind of pull this together?
Yeah, 100%. I think because as a small business owner myself, I can put myself in your shoes. And if it wasn't for the help of Carlyn, believe it or not, she does a lot of HR for Startup Tandem, right? A lot in like different states, not just in California. And if I wasn't for her, I would be driving myself crazy. So my advice to you as a small business owner and as a leader in your industry is the part of being a leader is to put that infrastructure in your company as soon as you can, before you actually need it. That way you start preventing any kinds of lawsuits or compliance or employee turnover.
Mhm.
And then you can make this a more successful organization and easier for you in the long run.
Mhm.
I love that. Do it before you need it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Otherwise, when you do need it, it may be too late.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The analogy might be, taking an Uber versus getting pulled over by the police.
Yeah.
So we
Because
want to
of the
see, we want to see prevention, right? And it's really inexpensive to hire what we kind of call a fractional
HR.
HR.
Mhm.
And as a small business, it's a lot less expensive to do that than to get caught.
Yeah.
And then the ramifications and working yourself out of that. So
Mhm.
Oh, and in all those letters that you get from all these agencies. Thank God, Carlyn. I feel like I have so many Christmas letters from all kinds of agencies at all types of quarters. It's a lot.
Oh, your holiday cards from Florida.
Oh my God, New York,
Idaho.
Idaho. So yeah, actually you need HR. Believe it or not, your life will be so much easier.
Yeah.
and again, I know people. I'm good with it, and I guess the metaphor is I wouldn't treat myself for dentistry because I know dentistry because I've been online, or I've read a couple of books, or I've even worked with people. Go to an expert. So there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, first of all, hey folks, if you like this content, if there are questions you have, please reach out to either Alejandra or Carlyn at startuptandem.com. You can get to them through there. If you like this content, please share. Let people know. Human resources and compliance. It seems like a topic that, you're like, yeah, whatever. Meh. It's not, because it's only that when you're not having to deal with it. And what I think we're learning here is, very importantly, it can be a game changer for business. Turnover and retention
Increase profits.
goes away.
I mean.
You make more money.
Yeah.
People are clear. People are happier. You're less stressed.
Mhm.
And think about it. Your team actually enjoys
You live
working.
longer.
Yeah. Happy employees is a happy business. People stay.
Happy
and-
owner.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Your
go.
ROI has increased every
Yeah.
employee that you hire.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us. At some point here, maybe a little further down the road, would you be willing to come back and kind of share how things are going? And everything
Oh,
like
of
that?
course.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having us. This is great.
We had a
Yeah,
lot of
really
fun.
appreciate it. Thanks, folks. We'll see you soon, and thank you for joining us.